Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of my Jean Seberg video. We're going to find out the ramifications of the FBI smear campaign and harassment of Jean, and why her story is so very tragic and cautionary. Let's get into it. The Los Angeles Times joined in this hideous harassment. From my book. The Los Angeles Times ran the following story on May 19th, 1970. Let us call her Miss A. She is beautiful and she is blonde. Recently, she burst forth as a star of a multi-million-dollar musical. Paint wagon. Topic A is the baby Miss A is expecting. Papa is said to be rather prominent Black Panther. Columnist Joyce Harbor wrote the story. Newsweek, never a publication willing to let the grass grow under its feet, immediately reprinted the story in the following week's edition, thus assuring that the lie received national exposure. Part of the story was true. Jean was 6 months pregnant with her husband's child when the story broke. She was so distraught that she took a massive overdose of pills because she was already in a fragile condition. She took a massive overdose of pills and was later found unconscious on the beach in the island of Marcos, where she and Gary had been living. Gary had her committed to a mental institution in Switzerland where she miscarried the baby. 2 months later, a girl named Nina Hart Gary weighed only 4 pounds and when she was born. She was clearly white. Jean took the baby in a glass coffin back to her hometown of Marshalltown. She wanted the world to see that it had all been a dirty lie. And because of that, a beautiful baby girl was dead. Now we have to pause here, and I think that Jean deserves some criticism for this. She did not have to take an overdose of sleeping pills while she was 6 months pregnant. And what did she think was going to happen? Shockingly, the baby wasn't miscarried right away. It was miscarried 2 months later. But still, come on. Take yourself out, but maybe not your baby. So she never got over this loss. And she never got over how this came to be. So hereafter, on the anniversary of this little girl's death, she would try to kill herself with pills every year on the anniversary of this little girl's death. Did I mention that the smear campaign by the FBI wasn't the only thing they did? They put her under surveillance, like they did John Lennon, tapping her phone, following her around, watching her every move. If she wasn't already unstable enough over the loss of her child and the smear campaign in the papers, this pretty much pushed her over the edge, okay? Thanks, FBI. And of course, she divorced her husband. Sadly, again, there's nobody there to support her. So again, she's in free fall now. I'm not sure why they didn't sue the shit out of both the LA Times and Newsweek. They did sue Newsweek and they got 10 grand. There's that monkey on the YouTube commercials. This Harvard calculator says my minor accident's worth $85,000. I'm wondering where that calculator was when these people sued Newsweek and got 10 grand. And then they went their separate ways, but Roman Gary never stopped loving Jean, and he watched helplessly as she bounced from affair to affair. She married one more time. I think she was married for all of 5 minutes before that marriage disintegrated. And then she spent the rest of the 70s making films in France and Italy, and I don't think she ever made another mainstream American film again. And she never came back to America because of the pain and the heartache that this country had caused her. And she was worried that she was going to be monitored. They monitored her in Switzerland, all the way in Switzerland. How much taxpayer money did they spend monitoring Jean Seberg? Give me a fucking break. So she was living in France. She in an apartment with an Algerian boyfriend when she left her apartment on August 30th. She left with 2 bottles, a bottle of water and a bottle of barbiturates. It was the anniversary of her daughter's death. She was found 10 days later, her naked, decomposing body beneath the blanket in the back seat of her Renault. She clutched a note addressed to her 16-year-old son, Diego, which read, "Forgive me, I can no longer live in a world that beats the weak, puts down the blacks and women, and massacres the infants. Understand me. I know that you can, and you know that I love you. Be strong. Your mother who loves you, Jean." Unfortunately, didn't love him enough to stay and be his mom. But I sympathize so much. This is one of the most tragic stories that I've ever written about. I had a hard time getting over it. It haunted me after I wrote the chapter. It haunted me for a long time after that. I did see the biography, Seberg, and I enjoyed it. But I don't think it really truly captured the tragedy that was Jean Seberg. Midwestern, all-American girl makes good, then gets slammed again and again and again until that she's dead. That's basically the story of Jean Seberg. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. The sad, pathetic story of Jean Seberg is in my book, my first book, Tragic Hollywood, Beautiful, Glamorous, and Dead. Available. I have a link to all my books in the description of the channel. They're all on Amazon under my name, Jackie V. Gunny. And I appreciate you. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I'm intending to get a bonus content video out this week as well, but I will see you guys next week.